Hello viewers, this is David here. It's not the X19 as you can see, but it's something a bit technical you might be interested in, and this is a quite an old 1960, 59 or something like that, 61, 62 Hornby 00 Deltic locomotive. And those of you in America not familiar with the Deltic, it was 3,000 horsepower locomotive, two Deltic engines in it, and they didn't have cylinder heads because they were opposed pistons in it, like the Junkers engines of the 1930s, the diesels, and they used the Deltic motors later in motor torpedo boats. But they put two of them together in these, and the engines were the most powerful single unit ones in the world. I know in America you've got huge big multi-unit ones, and the other thing is they named them, instead of just after, I don't know, places and that, they named them after Derby winners, the horse race. And this one's Crapello, and they're all them St. Paddy and that. And I think it's a good thing clever thing to write, or a poetic thing to name them after racehorses, because these were the express locomotives bombing up between London and Edinburgh. I went behind one years and years ago. Anyway, I wanted one. Of course, my son rang me up and he said, "It's your 70th birthday, Dad. What would you like?" And I thought, well, I've got everything. But I thought if I got one of these, then I could put it on my little three-rail Hornby layout, and then when my grandson Stanley came down, we could all play with it. So I said, "Get me one," and just the cheapest, roughest one. And this one came, and it doesn't look rough, does it? So here's the story. He didn't know if it was working or anything like that, but it was the cheapest one on eBay. And when I got it, the paintwork was all sort of mouldy, and I thought I might have to strip it. But first I scrubbed it in, took the body off and scrubbed it in soapy water and let it dry, and that was no better. The mould was still there. Then I rubbed it in methylated spirits. I thought that might dissolve, and it didn't. And what I did, viewers, is Ballistol Clever. And the bottle on the right, the older one, I've had that since 1992 or something like that. And it was made for cleaning guns, cleaning rifles, non-acidic, but you can use it for all sorts of things. Anyway, there's the little cotton bud. I used that for something else later, and I put a bit on that and wiped it on, thinking it might be a solvent, but it brought up the paint beautifully. It got rid of the mold, and look at it. It doesn't look as if it was made in 1962, does it? And it gave a sort of nice sheen to it. And there's the front of the there's the front of the locomotive. I painted the little head code thing there, and there's a screwdriver I used. Anyway, it was two rail, and I think it might have been originally intended for three rail, but I don't know if any of you do know. Let me know that it ever came out as a three rail, because two rail was then. And I thought, well, it's only a toy as far as I'm concerned, so I needed to convert it for three rail. So I undid the body. Let's take the body off. And there's the chassis. And you see, it's all metal. No plastic in it at all, really. And when we turn this upside down, it had this thing here. That was the side pickup that rubbed against the wheels there and collected the other current, because the axles are insulated, so you can get the two rail working. So I undid this little plate here, and that's two pieces of plastic like a sandwich, and then screwed to the metal bogie. And I thought, well, if I make a little slot there and a little slot there and get a piece of brass, and the brass goes in there, up around the back with two big holes, three holes really, hole there and a hole there for the screw, big enough so that the screw doesn't contact it and close the circuit, and then it comes out there. And the reason you need two is so when it goes over points and that, you've got a contact either side of the dead bit in the middle of the point, and then that silver bit there just above my finger, that's a wire coming through that comes out, and it's that red wire there. So you've got the central rail. Have a look at three rail Hornby if you're interested. And you see, it's all metal, and you see the motor end of it, you've got bearings that you can adjust and things, and you've got this thing called a Ringfield motor, which is a DC electric motor, but instead of having two magnets either side, it's a circle, and it's all, as you can see, it's beautifully made. That one there, that was insulated, but I had to just put a metal bush in there and so that the power can go up through the chassis and that. But I took it all to pieces and cleaned the armature and cleaned the axles and all the rest of it, because it was all gummed up from who knows when it last ran. And it ran immediately, but not for long. It went round the track, and you can see the wire going into that connector there, and that's for the brushes, sorry, for the motor. And it would fall out each time. You can see them. You can see the commutator there, and there's the one from the left that's coming from the centre rail, and the one from the right that's screwed in. Anyway, every time it went round, it would come out, and I've mended it by putting blue tack round it, which is not conductive, and it works well. You can see the lovely gears, worm gear, and all the rest of it, and how on the left you can perhaps see that's adjustable, the bearing there. Everything's nicely adjustable, beautifully made. And it has tyres, and you can still buy them that fit on those wheels, rubber tyres, to give it... the original one, they tested it out in London back in 1960-something or other, and it ran 100 miles, pulling about 60 coaches, 60 wagons, and at the end of it, it was better than new. So anyway, there we are, and it's all beautifully made, and like I say, it wasn't expensive. And then we put the body on the top, and it goes round. And that's what's the first video I put on. And now the Ballistol Clever on the right is the one I bought in 1992, and the one in the left, my friend Robert Tilney in Beccles in Suffolk, who owns one of the oldest gun shops in Britain, and he's the ballistics expert for Antique Roadshow, if you've ever watched that. He's got a lovely moustache and colourful trousers. He knows everything about guns and rifles and things like that, and he gave me that. So thank you, Robert, or if any of your friends, Tilney. That's bless you for that. And also this video's for Andy and Maureen from Melbourne, from Fitzroy in Melbourne in Australia, and they've just been over to visit us, and I'm a member of the Andy's group, the Fitzroy Long Dog Association, which is a group of greyhound fanciers, not racing greyhounds, but greyhounds as pets, because as you know, they're not really looked after sometimes when they finish their racing days. So good on you, Andy and Maureen, and Andy's just become a subscriber. And if you are a subscriber, well, bless you, but it's not important. I only do this really for my own amusement, and you never know, it might amuse you. So there we are. There's the Deltic Hornby locomotive. It may be the only 3-rail Deltic in the world. I don't know why anybody would want to convert them from 2-rail to 3-rail, but it's just a toy. I know people take it very seriously, and good on them, but for me it's just a toy. And it's fun for me and my son and grandson to play with. So there we are, the Deltic locomotive, the Ballistol Clever. There's my graphing barometer I made. We've had Storm Agnes go through. You can't see it, the trace, but it's up and down like the Alps, really. So anyway, thanks again, everybody, for watching the videos. I took Andy out in the X19 the other day, and we went up to Polruan. You've seen so many times on my videos, and he enjoyed it. He's a big Moto Guzzi fan, so you might get in contact with him. Anyway, thanks ever so much for watching. Bye-bye then.